What's up, everybody? It is Actively Lazy and Marcus back with
What's up?
a live college football podcast. Um, Chaos is still reigning. I don't want to talk about last week. It disgusts me. I've been disgusted ever since September 11th weekend, which should have been a moment of celebration, but instead, Florida State continues to lose every aspect of the game. And with that, people telling me I can't talk, and what I gotta say to y'all is fuck y'all. I do what I want. This week is interesting. You had said that it's a dogs week. I
Yeah,
mean, it's some good matchups. It's some good matchups that I don't think at the beginning of the season we anticipated as many games carrying this much weight.
yep.
So we'll get right to it. Let's see who we got on here. Is this the start? This just start? Yes, it just started. Ben. Oh, Ben! Ben is back, everybody. From the dead. What's up, Ben? You missed last week's episode, and we were kind of concerned about you, but clearly you've recovered from the Arkansas 19. So that's good. It's good to see you back, Ben.
19-point whipping, or
Nah,
you're
look,
just
we,
depressed.
we can't mess with Texas unless they lose this week, and we'll get to you guys later, man. But yes, this is just the start. So Friday night has us looking at a very interesting game. Number 5, Iowa travels to Maryland. Spreads at plus 3.5. Over under 47.5. Spread was actually I want to say it was a little bit higher, maybe a point higher
Yep.
at the open, but um, I mean, Jeff has talked about this, and it's kind of common in hold on. Y'all want to talk about Miami tried to run a halfback dive at the middle? That's got I don't know who that is, man. It's got maybe it's Ian Harrison. But
Miami
yeah,
sucks. Nobody watching Miami.
yeah, Miami sucks, man. I am very disappointed in them. But yeah, so talking about the scenario where you have the road favorite, a ranked road favorite in the week, whether it be Tuesday through Friday in the week, going up against an unranked opponent in the conference at that too. It has not fared well for teams,
Yeah.
and so I think this is our first pros versus Joes. I mean, the pros are killing Maryland. The Joes are saying, "Nah, Iowa's clearly the better team." What's your take on the game?
Man, I think it's just come down to, that classic battle of size versus speed. It's kind of teams who have two mismatching identities. We've seen how good Iowa's defense has been, but
Racist.
I mean, they can't score any points, man. I mean, you see an offense that was able to, they were struggling last week. But I think for me, man, I think initially when I told you, I was like, man, watch Maryland on that plus 3.5, because I just think that quietly, Tagovailoa, Tua's little brother, is putting together a nice season, man. I think he's going for what, man, 70. I think he's shooting 75% of his passes for like averaging over 300 yards a game. I think he's got like 10 touchdowns and like 1 or 2 picks so far. So he may not be getting the love he deserves on a national level, but I've been keeping up with the Terps, man. And initially, I liked just thinking like, damn, man, Dante Demas and Raheem Jarrett, who's probably the second best wide receiver combo in the Big Ten outside of Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. I just think that, this offense looking good, man. Mike Loxley has been able to recruit and kind of, bring some guys through the portal and transfers in. So initially I like Maryland, but the 3.5, but I just don't have no faith in the Terps, man. It's hard for me to believe in them. Like, yeah, I can say it, I see it on paper, but ultimately I was like, you know what, I ain't touching this game. But I mean, I really like the matchup of Maryland's wide receivers and running backs against Iowa's linebackers and DBs. I think if they can, because Raheem Jarrett, man, he's like that. Like, I mean, he is Stephon Diggs 2.0. Like, great route runner, great body, good hands, catches in traffic, does punt return. Like, I mean, he's a do everything type athlete. So that was my first look, is just going with Tua and that offense. But something about why Iowa, man, they just find a way to stink up, ugly up a game, get a couple big plays, a turnover, some type of, I don't know, in an Iowa game, man, you can see a long snap over somebody's head to get picked up and returned for a touchdown. Like, I don't know, something crazy just happens when an Iowa man plays. But if I had to pick, man, I would say the over. I definitely like the over on the 47.5. I think both teams are probably going to be able to score some points on one another. I just think Iowa has a better defense, and I just think Kirk Ferentz will be able to come in and figure something out to slow Tagovailoa down and to slow that offense down.
So it's for me, it's a question of how great is the advantage of Iowa's defense versus Maryland's offense that it can overcome the obvious scoring issues that they might run into. Like how like typically when we see good defenses take on an explosive offense or offenses with that type of big play talent, it's a matter of when. Like they're gonna score at some point. Like you would anticipate at least 21 points. But it's like will Iowa's offense be able to help the defense keep them fresh? Because that's going to be an issue. Because you don't want a defense on the field with a tempo offense for a long time. You're going 3 and out. Like will the offense do their part? I think it creates an interesting chess match. This week for sure, in this season, just thinking back, I don't know if I've seen such a difference. And I said this in the chat. The Wisconsin Michigan game, when we get to that, I'll talk about it a little bit more. But there's like 40% tickets, but like 70% money on Wisconsin. So in this case, it's 40% of the tickets are on Maryland, but 62% of the money is on Maryland. Like there's a lot of people on Maryland. Like, and when I say people, I mean like the professionals, the guys who basically do this for a living. Like even on Action Sport Network, out of the 7 sharps that they've got picking games, 6 of them have picked Maryland. Like it's not a secret. Like a lot of people who are pros are really backing Maryland. That concerns me. So I'm gonna back the sharps on this one. Like I'm just a little nervous. I wish I could explain why they're doing that other than the trend. But I know Maryland is trending up. It's a big ask to beat a number 5 team. If Iowa overcomes this game, they've got to be thinking playoff bound at some point. Like I think it's that big of a game for them. Over under at 47.5. It's Friday. I don't know, man. Like you said, Iowa likes to make things ugly. I think it might be something like 24-21 type game.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's the Friday game. Actually not a bad Friday lineup in general. Yeah. But we're gonna stick to our top 25 teams and then roll into the quick hits. So unfortunately, there are no top 25 Texas teams right now. So you guys will be part of the quick hits. Some people's game of the week, not mine. But number 8, Arkansas at number 2, Georgia. Georgia's favored by 17.5, over under at 48.5. Arkansas has been a big surprise for a lot of people. They took that win with Texas and carried the momentum. You could argue they kind of got a break on Texas A&M playing with their backup quarterback, but A&M still gave them a game and they overcame that.
Yeah.
But I mean, 83% of the tickets are on Arkansas to cover this game. 70% of the money is on Arkansas to cover this game. I would assume that's probably a fade of Kirby Smart.
Wow.
Yeah. No,
that many people have Arkansas to cover?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a big number. It's a big number for a team that's been trending up, but I think that's kind of a fade of Kirby. There's also talk, like I told you, JT Daniel maybe not being the healthiest he can be.
Yeah, he's not.
Arkansas's defense has been really stellar. Like they've been able to control the line of scrimmage and really get pressure with just 3 people. And what I've seen them do is they flush guys out the pocket and then they send basically like their rover in the middle. If it's a linebacker or a safety, he'll pressure the quarterback if the quarterback leaves the pocket, and that forces most quarterbacks to panic. And it's been working. I mean, it's probably more complex than how I'm explaining it, but that's the simple form of what I've seen, and it's been working. they don't necessarily have to worry about that mobility per se
Yeah.
with a JT Daniel. But this is strength on strength, like a big Arkansas team that's about that life in the trenches versus a Georgia team that's definitely about that life in the trenches. And you know, I hate to say it, but we've never seen anybody out Georgia. So,
Right.
what's your take on this game?
Man, when I first looked at the line, I saw like 17 and a half. I was like, there's no way. But the more I think about it, I think Georgia wins by like 3 touchdowns. I just think that maybe not 3 touchdowns, but I do think Georgia wins pretty big. I think it's going to be KJ Jefferson, dynamic. I mean, he's nice, man, like as a playmaker, but he just got to be a tad bit more accurate, right? Like those are the kind of throws he gonna have to make in this type of game. If he can do that, I think maybe they give him a run, keep it a good game. But at first I was like, oh, Arkansas gonna cover, but now I'm like, man, I just think Georgia's gonna play their best version of Georgia. They're gonna get in, they're going to play good defense, they're gonna take as many plays out of JT's hands and put it in the running back's hands as possible. So
the ability to get chunk plays on the ground will be key for Georgia.
Yep.
If they can get in situations where it's short yardage, it plays into JT's favor. I think it plays into their offensive strength. Let's see. Ben saying Jefferson's banged up, can't have him running and taking shots. Hey, look, man, this is the time of year everybody's banged up. If you suit up, you gotta play. And honestly, if Jefferson can't do it with his legs, they're gonna struggle because he won't beat this team with his arms. And it's and they've also got some other playmakers out. Like they really need Jefferson to basically have the game of his life. What scares me here, backing Arkansas, what scares me is the potential for turnovers because we're talking about a guy that's not accurate, who will probably at some point try to do too much. If he gets turnovers, I think Georgia's got that ability this year with this defense where they can turn 7 real quick. Defense turns the offense real quick. That makes them dangerous. I think this line will be really close as far as covering the spread. Like you said, you got it about 21. It probably will come down to something like that. And then worst case scenario, Georgia allows the dreaded backdoor cover at the end. I call that the Florida special, the Gator specials. They love to do that. The very last drive, just give up that cover. But it is very telling that 70% of the it's most tickets, most money on this game. But
people got a lot of faith in Arkansas, apparently, man. I don't know when this, like you said, maybe I don't know if they're hyping Arkansas or they fading Kirby, but
I'll smack you, bro. I will smack you. Yep, I knew you was watching. I just knew you was out there.
Get out of here! Get out of here!
Bums. But yeah, it's one of those things where I think people just gonna ride the wave, man. Ride the wave until it just goes dead. And 18 is a lot for think about if we're talking about a top 10 team. I mean, this is like Bama territory. Playing a top 10 team and 18. So I do, Arkansas's defense is legit, and it is a noon kickoff. Yep, it's a noon kickoff, so that could play a part as well. But 18 is still 8. That's a lot. It's a lot. Let's see. We both leaning under on the 48.
I'm definitely under on 48.
Yeah. All right, here's your game, yo. I know you're excited to talk about this one. Number 14, Michigan is traveling to Wisconsin. The line is Wisconsin's favored by 1.5, over under at 43.5. I'll let you take it from here because you were on this game early.
Graham Mertz sucks. Jim Harbaugh sucks. So who is more likely to suck less on Saturday? I'm going with Jim Harbaugh. And I feel it. I get it. The numbers and the trends are saying fade Michigan in any big game. But I think if there's going to be, it's a rivalry game. It doesn't have the same luster that it would usually have because usually Wisconsin would be, hitting on all cylinders, looking like a top 15 team, but
Mm-hmm.
I saw Graham Mertz last week. He was bad, man. I mean, I've never seen a Wisconsin offense look that bad. I don't know if they feeling the need to maybe pass more because they feel like he'll be able to do that. But I mean, Jalen Berger in the run game didn't look consistent. It just all looked bad. And I get it. Michigan has played, look, they played Rutgers really, really tight last week. Rutgers outplayed Michigan last week and probably should have won that game. But Michigan is also beat up on, Western Michigan, I think Central as well. So maybe the numbers are a little inflated. Maybe Michigan is equally as bad as Wisconsin. But I'm just thinking, like, if Jim Harbaugh is going to start putting together the seasons, these type of seasons, he's got to beat this type of Wisconsin team. Like, he's 4-0 now. And to be able to get 5-0 to beat a Big Ten West opponent and to be able to say, like, all right, we building something. It's like, now or never. 1.5, I'm going Wolverines by 6. That's kind of how I feel it's shaking out. And I think the under is going to hit. I can't see them I don't think they're going to be over 43 points. I think it's going to be a semi-low scoring affair. Jim Harbaugh, 4th and 1, running a fullback dive that gets stuffed. Just typical, just typical Michigan, man. Like, that's how I see it. Being a struggle fest until probably like the second half. It'll probably have like 2 touchdowns. Jim will open it up. But I mean, has anybody seen anything from Wisconsin that would? I mean, I get it. Maybe it's because Michigan hasn't played anybody. Quote unquote.
I don't get it.
How was Wisconsin favorite? They are.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Wisconsin's 1-2. They're 1-2, and then they just got blown out by Notre Dame neutral site, and then they have a home loss to Penn State. Their one win this year is Eastern Michigan. Like, come on, man. And I agree. There's some fluff in Michigan's schedule, but they're undefeated. And not only are they undefeated, but they were covering the number all the way up until last week. And I think most people expected that game to be close. Obviously, the line didn't expect it because it was 20.5. But I don't think the end result of Rutgers covering is surprising. But they beat the bad teams how they were supposed to beat the bad teams. My concern is that last week they showed that old typical Michigan in the second half, inexplicably letting the team come back and just offensively just going dead. I mean, you're playing against Wisconsin. Wisconsin, they're not an offensive powerhouse, but you got to put teams away. In this day and age in college football in general. You got to put teams away. Like you said, Rutgers had their chances to definitely come back and win that game. They couldn't do that. I mean, I don't think Mertz is the guy that can do that either. I hate to say that I'm backing Jim Harbaugh, but I will not touch this game financially because this week this game has the biggest discrepancy where 44% of the tickets on Wisconsin, 69% of the money is on Wisconsin. That's a 25% discrepancy. Again, not understanding why, but I posted in the group and
fade away.
Yeah, I was like, people are fading Jim Harbaugh left and right, and it's shocking to see them fade him in this situation. Like,
you think this line is more about them having faith in Wisconsin or no faith in Jim Harbaugh?
I think it's just people like sharps play trends. They play the numbers. The numbers say that when a team gets blown out in any sport, when a team gets absolutely decimated, the very next week they come back and they play hard, especially if it's a team that they're familiar with. So conference opponent or a rival, you expect it to be competitive. What I don't understand is why this is like so low. This is abnormally low. Like, even if Wisconsin did get blown out and they beat, if they beat Notre Dame, like for this to be a 1-point line with the Wolverines as the dog, I'm almost. It has to be a trap. It just has to be. Like,
that's what I was thinking too when I first saw that. I was like, man, there's somebody out there that got some news that I don't have. Something's going on out there in the interwebs because I'm like, how after watching last week's Wisconsin and been watching Michigan up to now, do you feel comfortable enough to say, you know what? I think Wisconsin is a 1.5 or 2-point favorite than Michigan. I don't see it.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I like the under here as well. If Wisconsin wins, I feel like we're gonna know what kind of game we're gonna get within the first like 2 quarters. Easily,
Yeah.
like the first half will tell us what we're gonna get because if Wisconsin comes out, they're moving the ball on the ground, which you know we gotta think about that too. Michigan, Rutgers was running the ball in the second half, like they were moving the ball pretty well. I mean, if Wisconsin can establish their run game, they don't got like a Jonathan Taylor, Ron Dane anymore. But if they can establish the run game, then that'll make their situation a whole lot easier because Michigan's quarterback and just play calling in general in that second half was a little concerning.
That was the Michigan that we've come accustomed to knowing.
Yeah. A game that could have been game of the week if Alabama wasn't playing this week. Number 7 Cincinnati is traveling to number 9 Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 1.5 point underdog, over under at 50.5. Notre Dame coming off a huge win against Wisconsin. Hell, Notre Dame's number 9 now. I honestly, at the beginning of the season, after seeing Notre Dame play and looking at their roster, after seeing them almost lose to Florida State, I was like, this team isn't a ranked team. And here we are, they're number 9. Gonna be hard to me, it's gonna be hard for them to come in as hype as they probably were to play Wisconsin, which sets up for Cincy to have to be in the upset spot, not necessarily upset because they're favorite, but them being a smaller program. My issue is Cincy starting slow. They can't do what they did against Indiana. If they do what they did against Indiana, it's going to be problems. I said at the beginning of the year that Indiana and Notre Dame were the 2 games Cincinnati have to win.
Yep, they got to win.
Yeah, in order for them to be considered a playoff-bound team. I mean, even with the way college football is going right now, if they beat Notre Dame and hold on, they might be the 4th best team in the nation. So what we're looking at here is a simple question of, can Notre Dame come out ready to play after such an emotional and charged win the week before?
Nope. I'm going Cincinnati 30 to 24. I think that Cincinnati, like you said, I want to see what's going to play out. Like Marcus Freeman knows Cincinnati so well. He just left there.
Yeah.
They know him so well. Kind of see the chess match within the game. So, but I agree with you to where, man, if they start that, you can't go 4-3 and outs and stall in South Bend. You got to be able to put some points on the board. And I don't know if I don't know what's up with their offense. I don't know if they can do that in the first half. I just don't know why they've been starting slow, like real slow. They did the same thing with Indiana. I think Cincinnati's really, really good. I think they're going to come out really swinging. One thing about Luke Fickell, he's going to go for the win. He's not going to come in and have, some passive game plan, trying not to make mistakes. I think he's going to come forward. But, I mean, I don't think either team will run the ball really well, but I do think Desmond Ridder is better than Jack Cohen, and I think that he'll be the difference in the game. Just having better quarterback play.
So it's definitely put up or shut up for Cincinnati. I mean, there's nothing for Fickell and them to say. Just watch Trevor Lawrence get stopped on the goal line and just – Urban Meyer, you're so Urban Meyer. It's 4th and goal, and you just decided to run your quarterback. It works in the Big Ten, and it doesn't work out here. So he's also, oh my God. All right, so Ben thinks Notre Dame pulls it out. Honestly, I mean, it's a line that it could go either way.
Yep.
But I really think that what the story here is, it's up to Cincinnati how it goes. I don't think Notre Dame is good enough to dictate the game. I think it'll be Cincinnati is going to, the worst case scenario, Cincinnati allows them to be comfortable, get a rhythm going after a slow start because they have a slow start. And then, being on the road. And it's just one of those things, strength to strength. Like if we talk about Notre Dame's offense versus Cincinnati's defense, how do they score? They're not a prolific passing team. Cincinnati's got a hell of a secondary. In general, they got a great defense top to bottom. They're pretty stout against the run. They don't necessarily have to blitz to get pressure anymore. And that was kind of a staple of Freeman. He didn't need to necessarily send pressure when he was there He's tried to do that in Notre Dame, but it just hasn't really clicked just
Yeah, it
yet.
hasn't clicked yet.
Yeah, so to me, advantage is definitely with Cincy. Like they've got personnel to match their system. Nobody has to buy in, and then they know the defensive opponent very, very well. So let's see what is it, Ritter, the quarterback. Let's see what he does.
Desmond Ritter, yeah.
Yeah, because he's got talent, but he's the main protagonist when we're talking about slow starts. So if he gets going, if he gets going, it'll definitely be an interesting game. Let's see what we got next here. Oh yeah, number 11, Ohio State at Rutgers plus 15 over under 58.5. Maybe Shiano gives y'all a bone. Maybe he just throws the game. Y'all win by like 40 to kind of, how y'all Ohio State people are. Y'all still support one another, even though you're not part of the program. It's like a cult.
It is a cult. I think this game is just going. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think Ohio State going to cover by the 15, and it's going to go over the 58.5. I think CJ Stroud getting a week off, no practice, no games to kind of rest, get his shoulder. He said Texas on upset alert. Damn, that's they are on upset alert, I guess technically, but I mean it's Rutgers, right? Greg Schiano gonna throw everything he's got at us. He always plays us tough. Rutgers and Ohio State actually last year was a game that was too close for comfort. So I think if we would have had that type of game this year, it would. I mean, people would freak out in Columbus. They would go crazy. So I think CJ Stroud going to come out and look like now it's his 4th or 5th game playing instead of the early game jitters and starting slow. That's why when I was like this, I was like, man, it's Rutgers. Doesn't matter.
So Stroud is quarterback.
Yep, Stroud gonna play. Yeah, he's gonna be the quarterback on Saturday. He just took a week to rest.
Oh, okay. Sound like he got benched, but
nah, not for a week. If he wouldn't have got back this week, I would have been like, damn, he might have got benched. But
15
Ryan Day's with it.
I will give Ohio State the respect of knowing that typically when they play Rutgers, minus last year when they play Rutgers, they cover this type of number. Yep. So I'll give them that respect. Personally, I don't feel like I should be playing Ohio State games right now. But if you play it, that's fine. The over under at 58.5, it's really Rutgers' fault if the over doesn't hit. The quarterback, man, he just can't throw. It'd be killing me, man. So
yeah, he's was it Vanderall? He's
yeah. So that would be the issue here. I throw it on a no play list, but again, if you got to make a play, I would lean to Ohio State. But like I said, as it stands right now, it's not necessarily a team you need to be running to the window with tickets for. Yes. Number three. That's right. The Pac-12 is back, baby. Number 3, Oregon at Stanford. Stanford is an 8-point underdog over under 57.5. I'll keep it simple. I don't like Shaw, so I'm going Oregon.
I was about to say I like the over in this. And I like Oregon times whatever points they feel like scoring. Yeah. I feel like if they want to score 100 on Stanford, they can figure it out a way. I agree. I'm going to over. And Oregon, man, I mean, these are the kind of games you can't give away, like Stanford or Washington or somebody else in that division. You got to come out and crush them too to kind of keep building on to your playoff resume. So I think Oregon's going to handle Stanford pretty easily by at least 2 scores.
Yeah, just Oregon's case, just win, man. If you just win, you're good. And people use that cliche term, they control their own destiny. They really do. Yeah. There is no way you can drop them out of the top 4 if they just went out. It's just that simple. Game of the week. This is insane.
Roll Tide.
Has anybody ever seen an Alabama game with the point total this high? When Alabama played LSU, the point total wasn't this high. I think it might have been 76. But 79? 79.
That's wild.
When Texas Tech played Oklahoma with Mayfield and Mahomes, it might have been upper 80s. But like 79 for a CCT. What is this, man? You add Oklahoma and Texas, and now you turn into the Big 12, man. Yeah, it is. It is the
Yeah,
type
this
of
type of game that Oregon struggling. I agree
yeah.
with that, and that's why it's like, oh,
But
it's not it.
I hate Shaw. I'm not gonna lie. I'm super biased. You can ask Jeff. I'm not rocking with him ever. But game of the week, number 12, Ole Miss at number 1, Alabama. Oh, and I didn't put the spread. I apologize. The spread is 14.
It don't matter. It don't
Yeah.
matter. Doesn't matter. They gonna cover it. They gonna cover it.
If Nick, I guess not even Nick. If I just can only imagine what Lane Kiffin will do if he covered. If he won. Oh my god! If he won, it would be a fight. It would be a fight at midfield for sure, for sure. He has done nothing but troll Nick Saban since he left Alabama. I am pretty sure Nick probably despises his existence. Obviously grateful for what he did for the program, but probably in the same breath despises him. If it wasn't for Monty, he probably would have already had him like gunned down.
Yeah.
So yeah, the over, man, 79.
I'm not taking the over. 79. That's too much.
That is ridiculous. But you know what, man? You know what, man? Fuck it, man. I'm gonna throw something on it. I believe in Lane. No, I'm just playing. I'm not gonna touch it. One thing I will say about Lane, we give him a lot of credit for being an offensive-minded coach, but he's no dummy. He's not trying to get in the shootout.
Yeah, he ain't trying to get into a shootout. He's gonna control the tempo.
Yeah, he's gonna. I truly believe he's gonna at least try to switch it up. Now, if they get behind the 8 ball and they've got no choice but to try to come back with everything that they got, then he'll probably do some wild stuff. But when the game starts, first quarter first half, honestly, I would expect him to try to slow the game down and dictate the tempo. So if they speed up, it's because Ole Miss wants to speed up, and that's really the only way you can really beat Bama. If you're never gonna essentially beat them to 35 unless you control the tempo of the game. When LSU played them, that was what they did. They controlled the tempo of the game. Like they were playing at LSU's pace. When they wanted to slow the game down, LSU had the lead. They decided to slow the game down, and that was how it worked. Everybody else has always kind of had to play from behind on Alabama, and that in turn allows Alabama to run their game. Florida coming back on Alabama, all about dictating the pace. When Mullins and the Gators got control of that tempo and were able to get their offensive rhythm going, and it only really took a 3-and-out by Bryce Young. I think he had like a goofy throw, something ridiculous, but it was just enough for them to seize control of the game, get the tempo back, and boom, 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 and before you know it, it's a close game. That would be the strategy because personnel wise, man to man. I mean, the only advantage Ole Miss might have is quarterback, and that's even questionable.
I think that's probably the only advantage right now. Is probably having Matt Corral or Corral, however it goes, but having him over Bryce Young will help. But man, Bama 14, it could be Bama 20, 24, 34, 44, 54. I would still feel good about them covering it. And I mean, Ole Miss is good. I thought about it earlier in the week, and I'm like, damn. Lane is starting to get some things moving at Ole Miss, but I think maybe they would be a year or two away before we can really look at them. Maybe not beating Bama, but to say, all right, you know what, this will be an 8-point game instead of a 14-plus point game. But, I mean, I think Bama wins by about 2 scores, 2 touchdowns to the 30-45 type deal. But
if it gets under if Ole Miss covers the number, that's a hell of a game for them. I really believe that. And again, name of the game when you're playing Bama, do not turn the ball over to these dudes or they will destroy you. And then take what they give you. Take what they give you until you can get control of the tempo and then do your thing. But again, you're playing a very dangerous game if you're going to try to outscore Bama or run at their pace. Like it's just not worth it, man. But Lane, I trust Lane as a game manager. Like he knows what he's doing. So I trust him to do what's in the best interest of his team. And obviously, like I said, just try to seize that tempo early. So like if you win the coin toss, most people would say defer to the second half. No, give me the goddamn ball. Like I want the ball. Try to take the crowd out of it. Just whatever I can do to let people know, like even if you get the ball, you don't necessarily get anything but a field goal out of it. Just driving the ball down the field, using up about 7-8 minutes if you can, that would be perfect, ideal for Ole Miss as an opening drive. And Corral, whatever you want to call him, basically the best quarterback coming out of the of college right now. At this point, early in the season, I mean, he's got to have a great game. This is where his leadership is going to come into play because they're going to really need him to help out on the field.
And they in Tuscaloosa too, right?
Yeah, it's in Tuscaloosa, man. Yeah, it's and don't get easy. Number 6, Oklahoma at Kansas State. Kansas State is a 12-point dog, over under 52.5. What are we doing, man? What are we doing?
12, 22, 32, 42. Same thing. It don't matter.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, I mean, I get it. Oklahoma's been struggling. That line of 12 points, they're playing in Manhattan, right? They're playing at K-State. So, yeah. I mean, I think K-State should probably be a 15 plus 16 line. But I don't see anything from K-State that can make me think that they could cover that. I mean, I get it. Oklahoma's struggling. But I feel like, I don't know, when I just see Oklahoma and I see Kansas State, I just feel like, man, Spencer Rattler's going to get in a rhythm at some point. He may not be perfect, but I'm like, man, this kind of feels like the game. I think they're starting to kind of get things going, but it's going to be storming. Like what, thunderstorm?
Hey, look, I will tell you one thing I've learned about air raid-ish offenses. That shit don't matter. It got to be hurricane winds. And I'm telling you, like with Lincoln Riley's and I'll even go back to Art Browse, man. Like some of these like offensive gurus, when it rains, it doesn't even matter because they'll just condense the game. They'll just make it so they'll just have shorter passes and get guys more space to work with. And then the one thing that we typically don't ever talk about, but they excel in, they can run the ball if they want to.
Yeah.
Oklahoma could, Baylor could, pretty much any air raid offense. Mike Leach does it all the time. When he needs to run the ball, he can design something to run the ball. So I'm not too concerned with the weather per se. I'm more concerned with the consistency that we get out of Rattler, man. So, and this is a good question. Are we hoping that Rattler turns it on? We're a quarter way through the season. They're not. They are what they are, not good. In the Rattler era, I was just saying, in the Rattler era, if you go back to ever since he's pretty much been there as their quarterback, we were kind of spoiled with Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield. They were seasoned players when they took over, and everything just clicked, boom, boom, boom. Rattler is a different kind of breed. He's not as good, obviously, but they get better every single year. They get better as the season gets longer. It starts with the defense, and then it rolls into him. And I think it's kind of like a locomotive. They're getting there. And I want to say that this is the week that we start to see things really click with him being consistent and that defense stepping up, because that's usually what happens. The defense steps up. They all of a sudden develop a run game, and then you're talking about how good this Oklahoma team is when they're 4th or 5th coming into the end of the year.
Yeah, I think for Oklahoma, man, like I don't agree. I think that I look at the season just like a game. Like you get the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. We're in second quarter, approaching halftime in the season. And I think that it's unfair. Not unfair to Spencer Rattler. I get it. The expectation maybe and the hype hasn't kind of met the on-field production. But, I mean, the offense looks like they're getting in a rhythm. It is getting better. I think that even though it's only 4 games in, I don't even know who the 4 best teams in college football is right now. Like I see what the polls say, but it's just like everybody's kind of at the same level. And I think that if going into the rest of the next half of the season, I can see a scenario to where, you know what, they start to pick up their rhythm. Lincoln Riley starts to pick up his play calling rhythm, then that's going to start to help Spencer Rattler a little bit. But there's a lot of football left. I think, each week every team's going to get better. And I think Oklahoma's really trying to find out, like, what's our identity going to be this year? Like we know we got Spencer Rattler. He's pretty talented. We got receivers, but how's that going to look? What's our identity going to be? So I think now you probably in a position to Oklahoma, man. I don't know. I just feel like every year I just like it's the same thing. Okay, is Lincoln Riley, Spencer Rattler quarterback and defense, and we're gonna kind of figure out more about him. But I don't think he's a scapegoat. I mean,
listen. He can't be the scapegoat when we've seen this work several times.
Yeah.
But we've seen it, and we've seen it work with top talent. We've seen it work with Kyler Murray, with Baker Mayfield, with Jalen Hurts, and all those guys only had a season in the system, right?
Yep.
All of them were one season. Rattler's been in this system for 2-3 years. Like, I mean, look, you were a highly recruited player. You are obviously think a lot of yourself too as a player. You coming out of high school is pretty cocky about it. Hell, he wanted to play over Jalen Hurts. So look, put up, shut up, man. Like we in year 3. I'm not hearing that. Lincoln Riley is proven. Lincoln Riley is a proven college football coach. It ain't him. It is not him. He hasn't changed anything that he does. He continues to do what's best for the team and try to get guys in spots to be successful. Rattler's throwing interceptions because he's throwing the ball late. He's doing too much at times. He doesn't want to run the ball and take what defenses give him. And that is why he has had his key moments of struggle, you know?
And my thing with
oh my God, Rattler can move the ball, man. Anyway, Texas hate, man. They were chanting for the backup last week. I mean, honestly, man, it's just
I get it. I mean,
you can't be mad at him for wanting better.
I also think too something people haven't talked about is I think people have kind of gotten a key on Lincoln Riley, right? Like some of his down and distance and down and situational tendencies. So I think that Lincoln Riley probably hasn't realized. Well, I'm sure he realized that, you know what, I don't have the legs of a Baker or Kyler Murray to create and be able to escape the pocket. I think Lincoln probably has to match his play calls a little bit to what to what Spencer Rattler can do. And I know as a quarterback coach and as a head coach, offensive coordinator, he doesn't probably want to do that. But I think there's a better way to get more out of Spencer Rattler than to trying to fit this square peg into a round hole in certain parts of their offense. But I mean, I agree. I mean, has he been perfect? No. Do they want Caleb Williams? Yes. But I do think it's early. It's way too early to bail on him.
I'm pretty sure Lincoln's like, I benched this motherfucker. He's still doing this. What more do I got to do? I benched him. We had a sit down. I talked about benching him. He said he knew what he was doing. He messed up. He was going to make these changes, and we're still saying the same. He probably frustrated. Honestly, I would be shocked if he doesn't push him to the NFL next year. Like, look, you go. Let's you go. Caleb, you come here. Yeah. Number 10, Florida. At Kentucky plus 7.5, over under 55. I feel a Mullins coming. Coming, man. I hate Florida non-covering bast issue. I mean, Florida just like I think the only Florida fan I really know right now is Patrick, and he does a lot of talking, yapping at Holland, Georgia, and they're beating their chest because they got within a puncher's chance of Alabama, which nobody expected that, so they did do good with that. They smacked Tennessee, which I put more on Tennessee than I put on Florida. But I'm with you, Akeem. Come on, Kentucky, man. Give me this 7.5. Give me as many points as I can get with Kentucky.
That's how I'm feeling. That's what I like, man.
And make this game ugly. They have a running back at quarterback. He's not a real quarterback. Make him pass.
No, they got a new quarterback. So they got Will Levis, so the Penn State transfer. So they got a couple things. This is why I was kind of on Kentucky. So I think
I was talking Florida has a running back.
Oh, Florida. Right. Okay, yeah, Emory Jones. I thought you were talking about because Kentucky been having them.
Oh yeah, they've been having some wild stuff.
I mean, Florida, like you said, I think people they're getting the benefits of having a quote unquote good loss against Alabama. And I think Florida is probably a little closer to Kentucky than people maybe want to give credit to. I think 7.5. maybe they are the worst undefeated team in the country, but I tell you what, I've seen what Mike Stoops has done in Kentucky, and I kind of built a little trust with them, right? Like I know what they're going to be. They're going to be a team that they may not win games, but they've been right there into covering a lot because they run the ball pretty well. They control a lot of the clock, and I think Kentucky's going to have a shot to. They also brought in a Sean McVay assistant. Mm-hmm. So the offense at Kentucky looks very much like the Rams. It looks a little different. They use a lot of motion, a lot of condensed sets, a lot of zone runs, a lot of play action, moving the pocket. So, man, I think Kentucky doesn't cover the 7.5, but I do like the over of 55.
I am upset that you said that, and I do not agree. Nah, it's this is wishful thinking, man. Definitely fade me on this pick. I hate Florida. And it's not because I'm a Florida State fan. Like I literally hate them because they don't cover the number. They do it to me every time. If I take Florida, they let the backdoor cover come in and kill the bet. If I fade Florida, they somehow start to play really hard at the last drive when they get into the red zone and I don't win. So it's just one of the over under 55. I actually like that too because I think this number is set from early data, and this just isn't that Kentucky team right now. Yep. And we're not saying they're airy, but there's definitely way more pace than what they used to play with. And this is a game that Ben can be an expert on. Number 21, Baylor at number 19, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is favored by 3.5. Over under is 47.5. I will admit I have not watched a Baylor game since Art Briles left. So I don't know anything about Baylor. Oklahoma State has been killing me, but they finally showed some life these last couple weeks. I'm willing to back them, but not at 3.5. I'd rather just have it 3.
Man, I'll say this. I have watched a lot of Baylor football since Gary Patterson. Now, I don't know if that's because I'm a lunatic or what it is, but I watched them last week when they upset Iowa State. Yeah, Bohannon's balling right now. So I do like what Baylor's doing, man. I think that they're kind of rebuilding their brand under Dave Aranda, and people probably haven't been looking for them a lot, but they had a good win against Iowa State last week. And I mean, the Bears, I like the over. I think, but it's so hard. I shouldn't say I like the over because I'm still thinking in terms of when I see Oklahoma State, I see points. I got to adjust it because they're not there this year. Like their offense hasn't been what we've been accustomed to for Oklahoma State offense. But 47.5 for a Big 12 game is pretty light.
It is. No, I thought there was one, but no, it is pretty light, 47.5. But I am with Ben, although it's kind of weird to say that the Big 12 defense is for real. They are playing really well. I will do some further research on this. My initial lean is Oklahoma State to cover in front of their fans. But Spencer, man, God, he just makes me he just frustrates me so bad, man. It's just another player that when I back him or that team, they just don't get it done for me, and it annoys me. I can't get right. In baseball, it's the Chicago White Sox. College basketball is Kansas. So in freaking college football is basically every Big 12 team, other than the Texas Fade. Like I bet them and they just don't do anything for me. My personal favorite this week. My personal favorite this week. Boston College is at number 2. Is that number 2 and 5 or just 25?
It's 25. Clemson, number 25. Clemson is Clemsoning again.
Yeah, it's strange to see you down there, Clemson. It's almost like we're pulling you down with us. If you could just drop 100 more points there, and then you'll be right next to us. But Boston College at Clemson. Clemson's favored by 14.5. Over under is 46. I'll just be blunt. I don't know how Clemson's favored by more than 2 scores against anybody in the nation right now.
And BC's been looking okay. I mean, I get it. Some of their wins have been okay, but they had a good solid win against Missouri last week. And I think that going into this game, the Gosnell, the quarterback, they found a way to win by replacing Djokovic, who was probably going to be all ACC caliber quarterback and a person who was going to, get drafted real high. But I mean, looking at BC and people are, they can't match up. But I'm like, Brian Breesy's hurt. They've having some O-line issues. DJ. So Clemson has some serious issues, and I think Boston College has played them tough 2 years in a row.
Yeah, it's been
in that game, and they lost those games.
Mm-hmm. I was very impressed with Boston College last week for the simple fact that they were shorthanded on at quarterback and I think a couple other positions, but they fought back, and it was just the overall effort, and it just it was perfect spot to be let down, like to look ahead. Like we got Clemson next week, we got Missouri, we got this excuse, we got our backup in and quarterback. Missouri came out pretty quick and scored too. Like it was the perfect opportunity for them to just kind of pack it in and let's get to next week. But they fought back and they won. One thing I know about Boston College, and I think I said this during our ACC preview, is that they just don't quit. They're a team they go hard the entire game. If you beat them, you beat them, but they're going to play to compete every single play. So generally, if you're winning, it's just you're the better team. So
I hate that would describe Boston College.
Yeah. What?
Ooga booga. Tenacity. That's how you describe tenacity. They just keep coming. Like they truly just, like you said, Rudy mentality kind of.
DJ's awful. I wouldn't back him. He's Kelly Bryant. You can't tell me any different.
At some point they got to get it right. Like I don't know. Maybe they're just going to be this bad all year because that offense is bad.
It's awful.
I'm like, at some point, what the hell happened between last year to now to where DJ was progressing? I mean, I guess the receiving core going to the NFL helped that. But I mean, I remember watching that Notre Dame game last year and like,
he looked fine.
Yeah, he looked really good. So it was just like, everybody just kind of expected that. And he's had his growing pains too. So it's just like, man, I don't even know where Clemson goes from there. I think eventually they just kind of get it clicking. But man, Boston College, part of me would want to pick them, but I 14.5 it is a big number though.
I'm not ready for an outright upset just yet, but I will definitely be taking my points all day, every day with this one.
14.5.
Let's see. We'll be quick with this. Louisiana Tech at number 23, North Carolina State. I don't know. I don't care. How is North Carolina State number 23? God, the ACC,
Listen, man. They got that Clemson bump.
I'm about to leave the conference. Can I enter the transfer portal? I don't mind being a Florida State fan. I just don't want to be affiliated with the program or ACC right now. I'm about to hit the transfer portal. NC State should win this game. I mean, the number is kind of big, but they should win this game. They should completely outclass Louisiana Tech. Mississippi State at number 15, Texas A&M. A&M is that right? I guess that is right. A&M is the dog here. At 7 points
against Mississippi State.
Nope, that was wrong. Yeah, A&M's favorite.
Okay.
I was about to say that had to be wrong. Sorry about that, y'all. I had a long day at work. Let me change that. A&M is favored by 7.
Okay.
Over-under is at 46. It's about the time where the Pirate just packs it in. They lost to LSU. I'm pretty sure he's pissy about that. Definitely wanted to beat Coach O, man. We should have an AP vote. I mean, these are the AP rankings.
Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what you get.
Yeah, sorry.
So you can write Texas on there 25 times?
Yeah.
Nope.
So Mississippi State is just I would literally have to comb the message boards. I need to see the temperature there before I back them because I'm telling you, man, the Pirate will do some wild stuff, man. He'll get in this game and they get down by 7 and he'll bench the whole 22 starters. So what's your take on this game?
Man, I think that A&M is going to try and come out and establish itself and kind of punch Mississippi State in the mouth a little bit. I think last week, losing to an Arkansas team it is a lot. Arkansas is a lot better than any of us projected, but at the same time, they had playoff appearances, aspiration, national title. So now it's all you got to do is be able to, you got to string together some good performances and good wins. And I think Mississippi State's a dump the fire a little bit as well. It's they're still trying to figure things out under Mike Leach, and it shows. So it's just like, with these two teams, I think Texas A&M comes out. I do like the under on both teams. I don't think Mississippi State for air raid, it hasn't been as explosive as an offense as we really remembered under Mike Leach. So, and then at the same time with Texas A&M's quarterback, I'm going with the under the 46.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a game that could go under. And Leach and Mississippi State have had quite a few unders that I don't think anybody anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
Not really. To me, it's not going to be as an appealing of a game with the quarterback for Texas A&M being out. This game kind of has my interest. Western Kentucky at number 17, Michigan State. Michigan State's favored by 10.5. Over under at 64.5. Them boys from Western Kentucky be shooting from the hip, man. They be like that can go. Fun team to watch, man.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're an air raid purist, I mean, they've got it over there, Western Kentucky. A game that they're gonna get dominated in the trenches. Michigan State will have their way, get their chunk plays, but I like the over here. I kind of like the over.
Yeah, I like the over in that too. 64.5. That should be about right between two high scoring teams. Michigan State has turned into a high scoring team. I think now I got to kind of put a little respect on Sparty's name because, coming into the season, we were kind of like, Mel Tucker sucks, they sucks.
Man,
but
projected 2 wins.
Yeah, and now I'm like, dang, I watched them play. They do some pretty good stuff on offense, but 64, I'm definitely taking the over. I don't even want to touch the points. I mean, Michigan State, 10.5 over Western Kentucky seems like a layup, but I'm like, I don't even want to find out.
Yeah, this would be a prime backdoor cover scenario too, because them air raid offenses, man, they be doing some wild stuff in that second half. But yeah, like I said, it'd be surprising if it goes under. And if it goes under, it would be because Western Kentucky isn't scoring, and I'm not sure if I can say that about them this year. I'm pretty confident in them. All right, Pac-12. Late night matinee, baby. Arizona State at number 20, UCLA. UCLA favored by 3, over under 55.5. Gotta put UCLA on upset alert here, man. Arizona State got some talent.
Arizona State does have some talent, and I do think that UCLA they've shown that they probably aren't as good as we thought they were. I think they probably were rated a little bit too high, but they got back in at 20 after they lost to Fresno State. And I think Jaden Daniels, it's time for him to have a marquee game and really, take Arizona State to the next level. But I still like UCLA to win, cover the 3 points. That 55.5, I like that over.
Yeah, I think he's got to step up, man. There was some pretty high expectations for this program at the beginning of the season, and I mean, some people had him as a Heisman dark horse. So
right.
Yeah, I need to see something, and this will be the game to do it. I think Arizona State defensively has the style to slow down the UCLA run game, and that's really what's been getting UCLA by is their run game, not necessarily their passing game. Typically, people think of Chip Kelly's offenses; they think of like high scoring passing offenses, but no, this has been a pretty run oriented offense, and I think with the staff that they have assembled and with the way that program is built right now, I believe they're primed to be in a position to slow down this offense, and they've got the best playmaker on the field. I think he just needs to step his game up. And then the 11 o'clock cap, number 18 Fresno State at Hawaii, minus 10.5, over under at 64. I mean, again, usually these would be the spots where I would be like, yo, Rainbow Warriors. They're just not the same team this year.
Yeah, they're not the same team. I think I watched them 2 weeks ago. But, man, Fresno State's been balling. I think people took them for granted. They went into Oregon, played a tough game. Excuse me. Then they beat UCLA, and then they've had another good win since then. So I think Fresno State just kind of been the darling of college football so far, just for the mid-majors, the group of five, the teams that's really been able to enter the top 25. So in Hawaii, man, yeah, if it was the old Hawaii, Colt Brennan, Norm Child, just Ashley Lee, we're going to throw it 80 times a game. Yeah, but yeah, like you said, it's just the brand name of Hawaii ain't the same no more. The Rainbow Warriors, they're just not good. They're not as good as they once were. So, but I do like that over of 64. I do like that. I think that is probably my play.
I'm gonna rock with Fresno to cover here. I know it's kind of risky, but Hawaii's offense, they just don't do enough for me.
Yeah, they don't do anything.
Breaking news: Manny Diaz has been fired. He just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah, he's I've been watching. That's what I've been watching. I've been glancing at that the whole time. And I'm like, damn man, how's Miami this bad?
Yeah. All right. So our quick hits. We just got 3 games. We'll start with these bums. Texas at TCU. TCU is obviously at TCU for both of us. TCU is giving 4 over-unders at 65. I like the over, but I also like TCU to cover. And, when we get to this point next week, blame SMU. That's all I'm going to say. Nevada at Boise State. Boise State favored by 6.5. Over-under at 55.5. Taking my points. I'm taking my points with Nevada. I think you're going to take your points with Nevada as well.
For sure.
Liberty at UAB. UAB favored by 2. Over under 49.5. I have to go with my boys from Birmingham.
Really? Over Liberty?
Yeah. Man, look, they are a tough team at home.
They are tough. They're tough.
They are a tough team at home, and they play that grind type style.
Yeah.
That if they stay committed on defense, that's the only thing that bothers me and makes me concerned is that they don't necessarily have the athletes to match up with Liberty if Liberty gets going. But I think they got the style of play to make this an ugly game, and to me, they would win an ugly game. Man, there's also the coaching edge for Liberty too. Like Hugh be toying with some, like he toyed with Coastal Carolina last year, and I'm pretty sure he could toy with UAB's coach as well. He couldn't toy with Dino, but it's like there's obviously levels to the coaching, and when he finds somebody that's not on that level, he definitely makes it bad for them. Oh, yeah. So we forgot the kiddie table segment. Permanent seat for these bums in Florida State. I don't want to harp on that. We don't need to go too much into that. So right now we got Texas at the kiddie table. We got Florida State obviously at the kiddie table. Ohio State is at the kiddie table. North Carolina is at the kiddie table. Miami's definitely at the kiddie table. And I would say last week's kiddie table, I don't even know. I don't know.
Some of them are going to
A&M
the kiddie table, except Texas. Texas is going to be there for a long time.
Can I put a team at a kiddie table that won?
Sure.
Auburn is a hot fucking mess right now, man. It's pretty embarrassing. It is pretty embarrassing. They just hired this guy, and they're already blasting them. And you got former coaches,
wide receivers coach.
Fired the wide receivers coach, and that was the best unit on the field. It didn't make any sense. Like, is it one of those things where you just got to do something? So it's just like, hey, you looked at me funny. You're out of here. Like, yo, what is going on? And then even worse is that they're on the message boards complaining that this guy fired the wide receivers coach, but continued to keep on staff an Alabama player, a former Alabama player in Auburn. That is blasphemy. Imagine if Harbaugh came to Ohio State on the staff. Like, that would never happen. Like, some of these rivalries run deep that it should never happen. When Michigan checked in on Urban's availability, he gave them the dial tone. That is what we expect. Okay, some of these, like, that's like Steve Spurrier would never come to Florida State to help Florida State. Urban Meyer would never come to Florida State, and that's what I expect with some of these rivalries. So this is disrespectful. You can't lead the kiddie table, sir. You cannot lead the kiddie table. I'm sorry to tell you that. Once you're here, you're here, buddy. Once you're here, you're here. So we will be back next week. week 6, I think it'll probably be a good time to start our own rankings. And we'll discuss that offline and try to come up with the list. I'm gonna hit up our IBS committee to give them a heads up that we're getting closer to that time where people need to start paying attention to games so we can get an accurate rating. And horns down every week, man. That's all I ask. All right, we'll see y'all guys next week.
All right, man.
All right, bro.